What if the person you trusted most, your own mother, was quietly plotting your death? In a quiet suburban home, a family began falling mysteriously ill. Doctors couldn't explain it. Neighbors whispered, and behind closed doors, someone was mixing love with lethal intent. This is not a movie. This is the real story of how a mother's deadly secret unraveled, leaving behind a trail of suspicion, betrayal, and shocking revelations. Don't miss out on the next chilling mystery. Hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you're the first to know when new stories drop. At first glance, the family seemed perfectly ordinary. A hardworking father, a devoted mother, and children who filled the home with the usual laughter and chaos of suburban life. Neighbors often saw them in the yard, smiling for pictures, waving as cars passed. To the outside world, theirs was the picture of stability. But behind that image, cracks were forming. The father often worked late, leaving the mother to manage the household. Friends noticed her growing distant, her warm smile now stretched thin, her voice carrying an edge of exhaustion. Still, no one suspected anything darker than stress. Then came the illnesses. First, it was small: stomach pains, dizzy spells, waves of nausea. Doctors called it seasonal flu. But as weeks went on, symptoms lingered and spread from one family member to another, except one, the mother herself. Whispers began, subtle at first, neighbors exchanging glances, family friends questioning the coincidences. Why was everyone falling ill but her? Why did she insist on preparing every meal, even when offered help? It was a question no one dared to say out loud yet. But soon, suspicion would shatter the illusion of a perfect family forever. Illnesses worsened. What began as minor discomfort evolved into nights spent curled over in pain, sudden collapses, and repeated hospital visits. Each time, the doctors ran their tests, yet results returned inconclusive. Stress, some suggested. Dietary issues, others shrugged. But none of it explained why nearly everyone in the family was wasting away, while one remained untouched. The father, once robust, grew pale and gaunt. His coworkers noticed he struggled to stay awake at his desk, his hands trembling as he reached for his morning coffee. The children, too, became increasingly frail, missing school more often, their once playful energy replaced with fatigue. Through it all, the mother remained the picture of health, attentive, smiling, even as she drove her loved ones back and forth from the hospital. Then came the small details, subtle but unsettling. The neighbors recalled seeing her grocery shopping alone late at night, purchasing items she kept carefully tucked into brown paper bags. At home, she insisted on cooking every meal herself. Family friends who offered to bring food were politely declined. Still, not everyone suspected malice. Some wondered if she was simply a perfectionist, or perhaps even a caregiver stretched too thin. After all, she never complained. She kept the house immaculate, drove everyone to appointments, and smiled through it all. But that very composure began to look unnatural, too perfect, almost rehearsed. The turning point came when the father confided in a close colleague. He admitted he felt worse after meals prepared at home, though he couldn't prove why. That seed of suspicion, once planted, spread quickly. Soon, whispers found their way to local investigators, and when quiet observations turned into official surveillance, the perfect image of family life would unravel into something far more sinister than anyone dared to imagine. The surveillance confirmed what no one wanted to believe. Hidden cameras captured the mother alone in the kitchen late at night, carefully measuring powders from unmarked containers into family meals. Her face showed no hesitation, no flicker of guilt, only focus, as if performing a nightly ritual. When investigators confronted her, she played the part she had perfected for years, calm, attentive, even shocked at the suggestion of wrongdoing. But the evidence spoke louder than her denials. The food samples taken from her kitchen revealed lethal traces of poison, substances almost impossible to detect in small doses. The realization struck like a thunderclap. The family's slow descent into illness had never been fate or misfortune. It had been orchestrated. Each cough, each fainting spell, each hospital visit was part of her design. The betrayal cut deeper than the crime itself. A mother, the very figure meant to nurture and protect, had become the architect of her family's suffering. Neighbors who once waved at her from across the street now stared in disbelief as police cars lined the driveway. And as handcuffs clicked shut around her wrists, the perfect image she had built collapsed in an instant. What remained was a chilling question that echoed far beyond that suburban street. How could love and trust be weaponized into something so deadly? Years have passed since the arrest, but the echoes of the crime still linger. The mother sits in a prison cell, her once carefully maintained image stripped away. Time has etched lines across her face, yet her silence remains unbroken. She never gave a full confession, never explained why. The father survived, though his health was permanently scarred. Friends say he carries himself with quiet strength now, but his eyes betray a weight that never lifts. Each visit to the hospital reminds him of how close he came to death, how betrayal came not from a stranger, but from the person he trusted most. The children, though alive, grew up under the shadow of what happened. Their laughter never returned the same way. School records and scattered reports suggest they struggled to rebuild any sense of normal life. For them, the word family became something fragile, fractured beyond repair. The house itself still stands, but it has long since been abandoned. Neighbors cross the street rather than walk past it. Curtains hang limp in the windows, and the walls seem to hold the secrets that no one dares to voice aloud. And yet, unanswered questions remain. Why would a mother turn against her own blood? Was it resentment, control, or something darker that could never be fully understood? The case is closed on paper, but for those who lived through it, the mystery endures in silence. The story of this family is more than just a crime. It is a fracture in the very idea of trust. A mother's role, so deeply tied to love and protection, became the very source of danger. And for those left behind, the scars are not just physical, but carved into memory, reshaping how they see the world. Even now, neighbors hesitate to talk about it. The street remains quiet, as though the shadow of that house still lingers over every passing glance. The children, grown but changed, live with a history they did not choose. The father carries a strength forged in survival, but also a loneliness that no justice can erase. And at the heart of it all, an unanswered question: why? The files are closed, the sentence delivered, but motive remains clouded in silence. Was it bitterness, control, or something no one will ever truly comprehend? Sometimes, the most chilling mysteries are not the ones that go unsolved, but the ones solved only on paper, while the truth hides in silence, locked away with the person who refuses to speak. So the next time you see a family smiling in a photo, waving across the street, ask yourself, how well do you ever really know the people closest to you? With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.